friends, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope your day's getting off to a good start. This video is going to be all about some brand new makeup. We have a lot of things in this video that really pleasantly surprised me, so I think you're going to enjoy some of the things that we have in store. My hair, I took a shower like kind of late last night and my hair's still sort of damp, so I'm just gonna clip some of this out of the way here. But it's looking like kind of a mix of high-end and drugstore, so I hope you enjoy. We're gonna start off with something that I actually ran into a little article on Allure, and somebody was writing specifically about how amazing this Sugar Rush Skin Treat Poreless Tinted Moisturizer is with SPF 20. Now this is Tarte's little like sub line, and I got this on Ulta's website. I wear this in the shade light to medium, and they were just talking about how poreless and beautiful it made the skin look, and I thought, okay, I want to try that as well. And it really is a different kind of texture. It's kind of moussey and light, and it has sort of this slip across the skin. Like, just let me show you. When you put it on, it feels like almost like a smoothing primer a little bit. It's just crazy. But then they said they blended it in with like a Sigma F80. And that's what I'm going to do also. That's what I've been doing with this. And the look is so pretty. So just getting that all worked in. I probably used a little much there. Okay, here's the F80. And we're just going to buff this in. And this is like dubbed as a tinted moisturizer type product. But look, like it really does kind of blur around pores. It actually like has some coverage, and it ends up being this pretty like mattifying tinted moisturizer. I guess I would use the word tinted moisturizer kind of loosely because for my skin it's not providing a whole lot of moisture. But look at what that does all over the surface of the skin. Like the evenness is so impressive, and it wears really well on me too. I'm kind of in shock by how good this is, and now I understand why a person on Allure, because I like get those daily emails where they send you little articles and stuff. And when I saw somebody devoted like a whole little section to this, I thought, wow, that must be good. And it really is good. I don't have a brand new concealer, so I'm going to go back to my e.l.f. old school camo concealer. This is not the hydrating version. This is the medium sand in just the regular. Just because, you know, I like to bounce around a little bit. I don't like to get stuck on just one all the time. Doing a few little dots around here. I got a little nose redness, as we tend to have. Little recovering blemish down there. Is there another one? Oh, no, that one's okay. Sometimes you just go on autopilot thinking you have zits where you don't even actually have zits. So I'm going to blend this in. Since I don't have a dampened beauty blender handy right now, I'm using this little Real Techniques, the one that came from the highlighter duo. I'll link to it below. But that does a really nice job of blending in. The shade is so perfect. As much as I like the hydrating version, like this, I can't get over how much coverage this concealer at a drugstore price is able to have, and how it's become such like a little standard for me, you know, by which to compare other concealers. The coverage on the skin just feels incredible right now after going in and just adding that concealer for that concealing and brightness where I know I want it, and then I've got that smoothing tinted moisturizer all over the skin that just made everything seem genuinely blurred and just super evened out. I'm loving the skin right now. Now I want to show you this little powder I turned up at Walmart. This is the Chilling Wonder Powder from the Hard Candy Sheer Envy line, and it does say hydrating here. So it does feel kind of cool when you put it on. I feel like there's something that I tried from Becca that was like this once upon a time, where you put it on and it would feel almost wet on the skin. This doesn't quite go that far. Like, I don't know, I put it on my brush, you know, it's looking like powder. It's kicking up just a little bit of airborne powderiness, but it does feel a little bit cool as I put it on the skin. But ultimately, you know, I'm not getting a different texture sensation out of it. It's not like transforming from powder to liquid, even though the coolness of it might for a second make you wonder. Hope that makes sense. It's very much just a powder, a little bit cooling, doesn't even really feel as cooling now that I've put it on this eye. Maybe it's like cooling as soon as you, I don't know, get it poured out of its little receptacle. Yeah, that one felt cooler. But I'm just using this to set my T-zone, my under eye. I mean, I claim to have good staying power with this stuff, but I always have at least set my T-zone when I've been wearing it. But there we are. I'm feeling very matte today with this combo of products, but we're going to be laying on a little bit of glow. Has anybody tried this thing from Flower Beauty called the Heat Wave Bronzing Essence? At one point I tried it like under my makeup just to give my skin tone a little bit of a boost, but now I think I want to try it like even just over top and just see what happens. Okay, so I dabbed a little bit out there on my hand with the dropper. This is my BK Beauty 106. We'll just see how it goes. I don't think it's going to screw anything up majorly if I go on top, but my question is, will it really show, or will it be so sheer that it doesn't show up much? I don't know. It's very, very subtle in this way. Maybe that's what some people want. I feel like this is more so better as an all over, like kind of wash of color maybe on the skin before makeup, or even possibly mixed with makeup. Now I got this little duo of things on QVC's website. By the way, if you are ever looking for like possibly getting the best buy on some sort of high-end makeup brand, check QVC and see if they've got some kind of deal going where they might be selling multiples or a jumbo size or that product in combination with a brush. That's a very common thing QVC does. Like usually it's more than just the product and you're usually getting a better deal. The only thing that can be a little bummer with QVC is I feel like the slower shipping a little bit, but you can probably adjust that too. But they had like a cream bronzer with your choice of blushes. This is called the Burroughs bronzer. So let's just start there. It's a cream bronzer. If I swatch it out on my finger, you can see, ooh, it's got some shimmer and like a little bit of depth to it. And I thought this might be fun to play with. It doesn't claim to be a contour, it claims to be a cream bronzer. And if this brand sounds familiar, it's the same brand that makes the Living Luminizer that I love so much, a cream highlight. So this bronzer has kind of a glow. Glowy, kind of deep. I'm gonna try putting my brush just straight down into it, see if we get a little contour out of this thing. Some other kind of makeup on my hair. I like it. It's creamy. It's not like super metallic or anything. I'm trying to kind of take it up even more so it has more of that authentic bronzer look. Get a little more here on the forehead zone. I'm really not trying to compare this to Huda Tantour because it seems like a very different product with the shimmer that's involved in this one. Just that level of glow, but it doesn't blend quite as easy. It's not hard to blend, but it's like there's a little more richness in this product as far as the creaminess goes, and I think that makes it just ever so slightly more difficult to blend. But the tone is really interesting because, as you can see, I can get a little depth out of that, but then I turn my head and you know, the depth is coming from the shimmer, so when it's hitting the light full on, you don't see it as much, and then when it's more in the shadows, you can see it again. That's kind of interesting. And I like the packaging too. They're little frosted, very shallow jars, but the way the duo was set up is that you get that tone of bronzer and then your choice of a cream blush. And so I chose the one called Lost Angel. What a name for it, right? I love that. And this is like a really soft, delicate pink. Sometimes I go a little deeper and dustier with my choice of blushes if I have a choice. And this one's a little more delicate seeming. I'm gonna grab my Sephora, my little mini 56 brush. I'm gonna go into this. Look at this pretty tone though. Like the way it shows up on me, I think is so, it's just a sweet little blush. What can I say? Like, look at that. Oh, and the texture is so nice. Like, I'm getting even more satisfaction out of the texture applying this as a blush, just in this dabbing motion. I don't know, maybe it just seems like a little less work than the bronzer was. I'm not sure. I'm still gonna be playing with that bronzer though. I think that's fun. I like the glow in it, but look at this fresh, pretty blush. And it's not affecting anything coverage-wise that I got going on underneath. I mean, you know, I got that e.l.f. concealer, the powder I put on. Not at all scared of going on top of that with this, but I just thought that's such a sweet little gentle blush. Very, very pretty. And then for a highlight, guys, we've got Newness A Poppin', this gorgeous little compact here from M Cosmetics. They've put out some cushion highlighters in 3 different shades, and they look like this. You've got this little sponge that you can use to pop it on. Maybe I'll start there. This is the shade called Aura, and I was shook at how pretty this was, how much it like stands out on the skin and gives such a gorgeous glow. Like, it's so pretty. So you can just tap it on with that if you want to. And then I've got this little, like, small size stipple brush here from Real Techniques. It's called the Filtered Cheek. And it just blends in so beautifully. But this just looks like light, you know? Does it not look like just a brighter light shining down on my cheek? Because it doesn't look makeup-y in the least. And it doesn't look like a strip of metallic. It's just like brightening and gorgeous. This is by far my favorite shade that they came out with. It looks kind of the most brightening on me. But just dabbed it on with the little applicator, and then I'm stippling over it with this brush. So pretty. Or you can go straight down in with your brush. I mean, this is stunning in a kind of an understated, really beautiful way though. Like, look how brightened up that cheek area looks on me now. And the fact that it can be put on so easily without messing up my coverage. Putting a little bit up here too. This look was all about laying the coverage, you know, that turned out to be really, really nice, even though it was all based in a tinted moisturizer. But everything was looking kind of matte, and then we go in with this gorgeous glow. I just think it's so beautiful. I'm gonna put a little bit of this on my Cupid's bow here. Like, well done, M Cosmetics. Yet another situation where they completely just knocked it out of the park with these cream highlights. And these are so pretty. I don't know if you can tell on the compact, but there's like a little bit of an iridescent look to it. They're so cute and chunky. Okie dokie. Next I'm going to spray the look, and I've kind of gone back to getting into MAC Fix Plus again. I can't remember what drew me here. Hearing somebody talk about like, oh my gosh, MAC Fix Plus is better than any of these other setting sprays. And I was like, you know, I did use that once upon a time, but I didn't even have one anymore. And the smell on it is so good. You guys know what I mean? It's like, how do they describe it? A light herbal or something like that? I don't know. It's really refreshing and nice, and now I feel just very glowy, very like spring freshness right now. For brows, I think I'm gonna pull out my e.l.f. Instant Lift brow pencil here. This is in the shade Neutral Brown for me, and anytime I try a medium thickness brow product, it always comes back to this, and I'm like, well, then again, you can always spend $2 on e.l.f. Instant Lift and be totally satisfied. So I'm just whipping this on here. Nice and easy. It just kills me how fast that can go. Like, I just went through very nice and easy, and then you can brush it through with the spoolie and you're good. Can you guys get over how beautiful the makeup is on the 2 ladies that are left on American Idol? There's Grace. She's got this blonde hair. The way they had her hair so like voluminous, you could tell it was like out of hot rollers. So I was like, oh, that's so pretty. And then her makeup was so glam and gorgeous. I mean, they're great singers, but I'm also sitting there just being in awe of how beautiful their makeup turned out. Then I'm just using my Milani Avocado Clear Conditioning Brow Gel. It's a little goopy, but we still use her. Next up, you know the drill. We're using a little Milani eyeshadow primer and a new eyeshadow product that's kind of like mini palettes put together in one. It's not necessarily the most exciting little palette thingamajig ever, but at the same time, it could be very everyday friendly, like your everyday work look kind of a vibe, you know? So yet another thing that I tried from Tarte. Yeah, we do have some new Tarte in this video, but look how big it is. I wasn't expecting it to be that size, but it comes open with 3 little sub palettes. It's called the Lid Laugh Love Happiness Amazonian Clay Eyeshadow Wardrobe, and there were 2 choices color-wise of this on Ulta's website, so I'll make sure to like link to both. The one that I got, I I felt was a little bit richer and slightly warmer. So let's hold it up close so you can see the different things happening here. We've got 4 little quads, so everything's already like put together to do a beautifully workable eye look as is. You do have a mirror here under the top, but we've got 2 mattes in this top one and 2 shimmers there. Here's your 2 shimmers on this one, and then we have a dark burgundy and a cream, and then 2 mattes down here with a dark brown and a medium brown, and then 2 kind of tones of bronzy shimmer. Let's see, today I might go into this one and maybe work in some of this also. I have a hard time just staying confined to one, but I do feel they're very like complete and nicely put together as a quad, and they smell just like the Tarte shadows that are in the In Bloom palettes, or like the Tartelette palettes, you know, with that vanilla-y scent. And really like rich feeling, easily blendable shadows. So instead of going maybe for what we'll call the holiday formula, which is not always just like that, it seems like they're sticking with what is normally in those palettes, because see how it's pigmented, it's easy. There is a little bit of powder kicking up as I put my brush in, but not terrible. And I'm just using, as you can see, this kind of medium brown. We do have a much darker brown down in the bottom palette. If I wanted to hold it that way, you could see. I'm just blending that all throughout my crease. Lovely. And then we can blend out our edge with this lighter shade. I'd love to know if anybody has tried one of these little palettes, or if you've tried like the cooler option. What do you think of that? So I'm taking this lighter shade like just over the edge, kind of helping blend a bit. So pretty, that little haze. And then I think I'll go down to this matte right here. We'll just put that right under the brow. I'm mainly focusing on these two because yesterday I used like this and this alone. And I think a few days prior I had used just this one. Very nice. Now let's see what happens if we deepen up our crease a little bit with this, just to see. Oh, that is such a pretty blend right there. This brownish burgundy coming into those warm browns. Blending is effortless. Really nice. Then what do? Maybe we take like some of this on the lid and leave like a little bit of a gap on the center. So I took this brown and I just put it like center or inner part of the lid and outer part of the lid. I'll probably go in there and try to blend that out a little bit more. Let's take the E27 brush, make sure it's kind of cleaned off, go into that softer shade right there, and I'll use that a little bit just to help me blend, because you know I went darker on the inner corner than I'm really used to. Let's try to get that softened up. Now let's really assess what we have here for a little brightening pop on the center. Now this is kind of a rusty shade. Look at the metallic on that, like a metallic rust. The other shimmer from that quad is kind of soft gold. And then this one from the top is even brighter. And I do appreciate that there's no overlap in here. Like every shade is doing its own thing. And every size of the quad is like a legit quad in itself. You know, you'd be getting that amount of product, if not maybe less, in a Charlotte Tilbury quad. I'm gonna go up to that top one. And I'm just, not that I need to do this with my finger because they apply fine with a brush, but I'm just dabbing that right there onto the inner part of my lid. Super easy. Just trying to make the pattern of application, or the way the shadows look on my eyes, a little bit different from what I'm normally drawn to do. And see, this is not even putting some white base underneath or anything like that. Like, I'm not doing anything different under. It's just 100% the shadow doing the talking here. I love that. I'm a little compelled to make my outer corner seem a bit more finished here. Maybe we go back to this shade. This has just been kind of our all-star shade in this look. Just work that out a little bit more. But I would have to give this little palette high marks. I really like the color spread. I like the texture and quality. I like the packaging design of it. And I think for anybody who gets a 12 or more shade palette and is looking at it like, this looks pretty, but I don't know where to put things. Like, seeing it just divided up visually into 3 different quads, that makes it suddenly seem way more approachable, I think. And you can just kind of be like, okay, today I'm going to use this color scheme. The next day I'll use that. I'm going to do my little lazy liner. I've been going between either the Plum Caviar Stick from Laura Mercier or the Cocoa. I think today this is a Cocoa look. Really don't want to do too much because I don't want to be covering up my brightness there. But just a little bit. I love how it gives me just, the idea here is thick, soft liner without having to do a ton of smudging over it. It just, by the way it is, by the thickness of this pencil, it's going to give you a slightly larger, smudgier looking line. And the only thing you really have to smudge is kind of where you decide to end, you know? So if I stop my line right in here, I'm coming in with my finger just a little bit to soften that, but I'm leaving the rest be, knowing that that's gonna set and it's gonna be beautiful all day, but it gives me that little bit of extra depth at the lash line. And in the name of keeping this kind of a light, bright, and wide awake look, I'm not gonna go under the eye with any more shadow. I'm just gonna take my ABH double-ended pencil here and throw that on in the lower inner rim. Or I could go full on Marilyn style and go with white there, which I am gonna get use out of those products, even though they're nice and neatly put back in their display box. I'm gonna be using some of that stuff. And then a recent repurchase for me, somewhat recent, was the CoverGirl Supersizer that is kind of harder to come by. Like, I feel like unless something's changed, I wasn't finding this on Ulta's website, but I did get it in like a Walmart store pickup situation. And it's such a good mascara. Like, it's too bad if availability is not what it used to be. But I've loved this one for years, and it really does create pretty length and separation, and it's just a good formula for not being too wet, not too dry. And the way the brush is, 2 sides of the brush are kind of flat, so they carry more product, and then the comby sides help it on through. So it's sort of a situation where you get it on there and then you turn the brush and you make sure you're combing it. Really, in terms of types of mascaras that are like this, it's in the ballpark of like L'Oreal Telescopic, but better, you know, I think way better. And I'm trying to be a little too aggressive putting it on. Got a little smudge there. Alrighty, so mascara is on. As you can see, I think that's an impressive mascara for me on my, you know, little natural lashes that aren't all that amazing. I think it really builds length on itself really nicely. Now for lips, a new thing I wanted to pop on. It's the Hourglass Velvet Story like matte liquid lipsticks. They're more of like a lip cream. They don't really like lock on and completely set up the way you might expect a lot of liquid lipsticks to do. The staying power really isn't amazing, but they are more comfortable, you know, just because they don't have that dryness. I'm kind of going between these 2 shades today. I'm feeling like maybe this one would be better. This one called Touch. One that I had worn recently on Instagram was a shade called Crush, and it's a little bit more, it comes off like a brighter berry. What's this one gonna be like? A little toasty, peachy nude. Okay, so there it is on. Smooth, creamy, matte. It's not like gooping outside the lips in some crazy way, you know, it's not like a real staying power liability in that way. It's just more so like it doesn't really fully set up, and it will transfer off onto your coffee cup and stuff. Sorry, I had somebody ask, why are you doing that? When you blink down onto your finger and let your lashes kind of curl up like that, this reinforces the curl. For those of us who have curl challenge lashes, can you see what this is doing? That mascara is in a real like 85% dry place right now, and that's the perfect time to blink down on your finger and let it solidify your curl upward. Pro tip of the lash challenged. Okay guys, so what do we think? Hair's still kind of damp. I felt like there were loads of impressive things in this look. Lots of things that I'm really into. Very impressed by the Skin Treat Tinted Moisturizer. I loved how blurring it was. It was like blurring, mattifying. If you're in the market for that kind of a tinted moisturizer that isn't so dewy. I know I talked about the Laura Mercier that I used, was it last week? This is an oil-free tinted moisturizer, and it isn't too tacky on the skin either, but this one has even more of like that blurring effect, and it's totally different texture-wise. This feels a little bit more like a traditional tinted moisturizer. This feels like light and whipped and moussey and airy. Honestly, it's like Maybelline Dream Matte Mousse reimagined into a squeeze tube product, but they put in like a little more liquid as they stirred it, you know, like you're getting to the end of a recipe and okay, we need a splash more like heavy cream to make this creamier. Have I officially lost you now, or does anybody know what I mean? This is good. I like this a lot. Other things that were new, like this Hard Candy Chilling Wonder Powder, I'm sort of like, okay, it's good. I like that little bit of cooling effect that I might be feeling, but honestly, powder-wise, it's just like your standard loose powder. I'm not super shocked by what it's doing. I really like my little duo from RMS, that really pretty bronzer that had some glow to it, and then the Lost Angel blush. Lost Angel. This is also a lip to cheek, so it could be a lip color also, and it does have that dewiness where I think it would really translate for both well. The M Cosmetics highlight was off the charts. Like, that was incredible. Loved it so much. The Hourglass lip color, honestly, like, if you really are wearing a matte liquid lip color because you don't want that transferring off onto anything, go ahead and get something more long wearing. Get you Maybelline Super Stay Matte Ink Crayon. You know, those things can still be very comfortable, but they don't go anywhere. I don't feel like it's absolutely essential to buy this from Hourglass. But the little Tarte like series of quads in a twist out palette, you know, this packaging is very satisfying, and the color scheme is very Tarte, right? You know, they don't go too off the wall. But for classic everyday shades, you know, it's so user-friendly. The quality is just like in your Tartelette palettes that you're familiar with, and the look I turned out today, like, I'm so happy with it, and I've enjoyed every look I've done. So it's about the size of like a powder compact, just a little thicker. Overall, a pretty small footprint that it's actually taking up for being a palette like that with 12 shades. So a lot of good finds today. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day to watch. I really appreciate it, and I will see you again very soon. I love you. Bye.